Welcome back, Focus learners, to another Deep Dive Explainer. Today, we're opening a digital scroll to explore India's fearless women warriors. This is a summary of the original Hindi book Bharat Ki Mahan Viranganai Aur Nari Ki Mahanta by Pandit Sri Ram Sharma Acharya. And look, we're moving way beyond just memorizing historical dates today. Our goal is to extract luminous gems of wisdom, what we'll call sharp planets of insight, from this highly revered text. As you'll see, this isn't just about physical battles. It is absolutely crucial for understanding the eternal, internal architecture of courage and society itself. Now, to establish absolute authenticity before we really get going, it's vital to state clearly up front. This content is based on the original Hindi literature by Pandit Sri Ram Sharma Acharya ji. We are impartially exploring these profound narratives and traditional ideals exactly as they were laid out in the original text, drawing upon its incredibly rich historical and spiritual framework. Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our agenda for today's journey. First, Rani Gaidanlu's supreme sacrifice. Second, Parvati Devi's tireless crusade. Third, the martyrdom of Prithilada. Fourth, woman architect of humanity. And fifth, ancient ideals of womanhood. Section 1. Rani Gaidanlu's supreme sacrifice and the unbreakable spirit of Nagaland. Think about this for a second. Even at an incredibly young age, Rani Gaidanlu's monumental actions completely electrified the nation. She was so revered that the people of Nagaland bestowed upon her the title of Queen. And the British, well, they were absolutely terrified of her revolutionary activities. They were so threatened, in fact, that they literally banned any questions about her in the assembly. Ultimately, they sentenced her to life imprisonment. She spent 18 agonizingly long years in a dark cell. 18 years. Yet, she remained this unbreakable guiding light, silently projecting incredible self-confidence to her followers, until she was finally released into a free nation on July 19, 1949. And here is our very first sharp planet of wisdom. When the newly formed Indian government offered her a lifelong pension to honor her massive, unimaginable sacrifice, her response was a masterclass in selflessness. She absolutely refused lifelong pension, dedicating the wealth to national service. Her entire life was a pure offering to the nation. She never once sought personal comfort in return. It's just incredible. Section 2. Parvati Devi's tireless crusade, a life for the nation. Now, what's really interesting about this next slide is how grief transforms into power. At just 32 years old, witnessing the horrific atrocities at Jallianwala Bagh ignited a massive fire within Parvati Devi. And right around that same time, she suffered the tragic loss of her husband shortly after their marriage. But instead of breaking, she channeled her profound grief into a deep, existential philosophy. She firmly believed, and I quote from the text, "If human life is just for stomach and reproduction, it is wasted." She viewed the human body not just as a vehicle for basic survival, but as a rare, divine gift meant for a much higher, selfless purpose. Driven by this powerful philosophy, Parvati Devi's physical sacrifice was just immense. Look at this timeline. Between 1922 and 1942, she was arrested 6 separate times, enduring nearly 7 years of severe, harsh jail time. The literature actually notes that people used to say her very bones would melt in those brutal prison conditions. Yet her enthusiasm only multiplied. She led massive protests, she picketed liquor shops, and she organized widespread rallies of women across the country. This brings us to a really revolutionary, sharp planet from the text regarding spiritual equality. Parvati Devi looked around and deeply questioned why it was primarily men participating in the freedom movement. She fundamentally believed that God gave equal talents to men and women. So acting on this conviction, she fiercely opposed the oppressive purdah, or seclusion system. She literally went door to door, braving harsh societal criticism, just to bring women out from behind those 4 walls and right onto the front lines of the nation's defense. Section 3. The martyrdom of Prithilada Wadadar and the ultimate price for freedom. Right from a young age, Prithilada completely despised the foreign rule that was enslaving her people. She declared that society is my family, and with that mindset, she was fully willing to transcend traditional familial duties. She mastered weaponry, mastering combat, and joined the revolutionary leader Surya Sen. Now, the source text impartially presents a rather harsh logic of that specific era. It states that while blood, terror, and murder are crimes from a human perspective, they become necessary to end severe atrocities when oppressors simply cannot be reasoned with. Putting this extreme philosophy into action, she eventually led a highly dangerous and strategic attack on the Parhatali European Club. During this intense attack, she was severely wounded and entirely surrounded, but refusing to let her capture endanger her comrades, she ordered them to flee immediately, and she quickly consumed a poison pill. Her final blazing declaration of absolute independence was delivered straight to the local police serving the British. She said, "Traitors, your dirty hands cannot touch me." She achieved martyrdom on September 24, 1932, becoming a pure historical symbol of an unbreakable will. Section 4. Woman Architect of Humanity and the Spiritual Foundation. Let's shift gears now from the physical battlefield to the actual spiritual foundation of society itself. The original literature shifts its focus here to the intrinsic greatness of women, not just as warriors of the nation, but as the central, vital pillar of creation. The text derives this concept deeply from ancient spiritual roots. It points out a profound linguistic sharp planet. The fifth letter of the revered Gayatri mantra, Va, or V, specifically signifies the inherent greatness, development, and divine power of women. It's essentially a cosmic acknowledgement of the feminine force woven into the universe. The author's core thesis is beautifully, simply distilled in this quote: "Woman is the creator of humanity." The literature argues that while a father's biological contribution is momentary, a child's entire body, their mind, their underlying ideology, and their emotional resonance are fundamentally constructed from the mother's essence. In this worldview, she is the very first guru a human being ever has. So the crucial point we have to take away from this is how society actually treats this creator. The text lays out a very stark, undeniable societal logic. If women are kept unhealthy, uneducated, and dependent, the children they raise, and by extension the entire future society, will inevitably carry those exact same flaws. The literature explicitly states that keeping women backward is quite literally like striking an axe on one's own feet. On the flip side, empowered women are the absolute, non-negotiable prerequisite for an advanced, capable, and thriving humanity. To help us visualize this concept, the author provides a stunningly simple yet brilliant metaphor. A chariot with one big wheel and one small wheel cannot run properly. Humanity is that chariot, right? And men and women are the two wheels. If a society only focuses its energy on the progress of men while leaving women behind, the entire nation, the family structure, and life itself remains fundamentally crippled. It just goes in circles. A chariot absolutely needs two equal wheels to move forward. Section 5. Ancient Ideals of Womanhood and Draupadi's Timeless Wisdom. Now, the literature explores these ancient traditional ideals of womanhood by looking at a famous historical dialogue between Draupadi and Satyabhama. When Satyabhama asks how Draupadi maintained such peaceful, commanding harmony with her immensely powerful husbands, the Pandavas, Draupadi explains her secret. And her secret isn't manipulation at all. It's extreme internal mastery. She meticulously controls ego and desires. She practices absolute selfless service, waking up before everyone else, managing the household with perfect cleanliness and timing, and she always prioritizes the well-being of guests, family, and dependents far above her own comfort. Within the context of this ancient, deeply traditional worldview, Draupadi shares this concluding sharp planet of principle. A woman's best virtue is service to her husband. Now, the text presents this impartially, not as a form of subjugation, but as a path of profound, elevated spiritual devotion and duty. The literature suggests that through this exact kind of selfless, egoless dedication, a woman actually commands ultimate respect, boundless love, and absolute harmony within her realm. As we finally roll up this digital scroll for today, we are left looking at a massive, awe-inspiring spectrum of inspiration. On one hand, we saw the fierce, uncompromising physical bravery of warriors who literally shattered empires. And on the other, we explored the deep, silent, spiritual discipline of ancient philosophical ideals. The text really challenges us with this. Whether you are fighting on the front lines of society or maintaining peace and harmony in the home, the core requirement remains exactly the same: an egoless, fearless dedication to a higher purpose. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought to chew on. How can you apply this profound spiritual strength to ignite your own purpose today? Keep learning, keep focusing, and as always, I highly encourage you to go explore the original literature for yourselves. See you next time.